station.
It's time for the best 60 minutes of your life. This is the Homer Hour, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Here's Emmy Award winner, Homer.
Aaron Rodgers is a nutcase, man. That cayenne pepper, did you see the story? Aaron Rodgers mixing cayenne pepper with water. We just tried it on Kyle Bruston Norman. It sticks around a little bit, man. Magic elixir. It's the best 60 minutes of your life, the Homer Hour. Alex Strofe with you. One last rodeo before the Emmy Award winner rejoins you tomorrow. No Rain Man today. So if you're excited for Rain Man, you got to wait till tomorrow when Homer returns to play that. Big show tonight, man. Jason Wilde's going to join us in about 15 minutes. That injury report up in Green Bay is long today. Jordan Love did not practice. Josh Jacobs did not practice. The entire left side of the offensive line didn't practice. No Rasheed Walker, no Elton Jenkins, no Josh Myers. None of them practiced today. Defensively, no Jair, no Evan Williams. 7 guys that all start did not practice today for the Packers. But I will say, don't overreact. It's okay. The offensive line's going to play. Josh Jacobs told Rob Domofsky he's going to play. Reports say Evan Williams is trending in the right direction with the hamstring injury. So all looks well. The one big question we all still have, of course, is Jordan Love. But Adam Schefter saying this morning on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy he thinks he's going to go. That's good. Jordan Love saying to Rob Domofsky as well, he thinks he's going to be able to go Sunday in a winner in first place game against the Detroit Lions. So it's only Wednesday. Let's wait until Friday before we really start to react to the injury reports. It's early in the week. This team's going to be geared up. They're just taking the rest. It's the middle of the season. Everybody's beat up. Everybody's battered. Everybody's bruised. They'll be all right. They'll be good to go. Be good to go. We'll get back to Jordan Love about 5:30 because I have thoughts on Malik Willis. If he plays Sunday, I still think the Packers can find a way to win. We'll do that at about 5:30. But I want to start with the general manager. Brian Gutekunst, the general manager of the Packers. His evolution is fascinating to me because he is a guy that would never admit mistakes early in his tenure. And even in the last year or so, he wasn't super open to admitting when he was wrong. Think about Anders Carlson, the leash he gave him after drafting him last year. He missed kick after kick after kick and crucial kick after crucial kick, but he kept him around. He kept riding with him. And then eventually it bit him. Packers lose to the 49ers, season over. Gave him every opportunity to remain the starting kicker this offseason, but finally after the preseason, Brian Gutekunst did his best Backstreet Boys impression and said, bye, 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 Anders Carlson. Think about the backup quarterback this year. You could have once again stuck with a draft pick. Sean Clifford was the lead dog. And just in case he didn't work out, Goody doubled down on a draft pick at quarterback and drafted Michael Pratt. Guess who the backup quarterback was? Malik Willis, who he traded for shortly after the preseason. So Goody realizing sometimes his intuition isn't good enough, but he understands this is a team that has expectations. And they need to be good enough, whether that's the backup quarterback, whether that's the kicker, and shoot, even linebacker. News coming out today, rookie linebacker Edgerrin Cooper, the second-round pick from this year, making his first start last week at Jacksonville, wins the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. The first Packers rookie to do that since 2009 with Clay Matthews. Oh, yeah, in the last 2 years, Goody's also drafted guys like Evan Williams, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft, Zach Tom a few years back, Rasheed Walker. There's a lot of starters on this team thanks to Brian Gutekunst. So when you look across the youngest roster in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers, who are 6-2 through 8 weeks, Goody has constructed a powerhouse. And he absolutely deserves his flowers. In fact, I'd go as far to say Brian Gutekunst has to be the frontrunner for NFL Executive of the Year. Off-season acquisition, Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs. That probably alone makes a pretty good case for Goody as the executive of the year. But then we go back to those draft picks I mentioned. Evan Williams has been a stud at safety, aside Xavier McKinney. Edgerrin Cooper, winning NFC Defensive Player of the Week in his first career start. He's a guy that is going to force his way onto the field. Whether that's over Quay Walker or Eric Wilson, to be determined. But we know when you look at that Packers defense Sunday against the Detroit Lions, you're going to see a lot of Edgerrin Cooper. And rightfully so. The guy has demanded to be on the field. Not verbally, but by his play, by his actions, right? Forced fumble, pass deflection, sack last week, 8 tackles, led the team. Goody's done just about everything right. Except now he has to do one more thing to lock up that Executive of the Year award that he has been unable to win here in his 8th year as the general manager. When you look across the NFL landscape 6 days away from the NFL trade deadline, think about the teams that are contending for a Super Bowl. Let's start in the AFC. We'll start with the reigning champions, the reigning back-to-back champions. The Kansas City Chiefs making moves at the deadline, acquiring receivers, beefing up their defense. How about the Baltimore Ravens? They were in the AFC Championship game a year ago. They look really good. Not only in the offseason, they go ahead and scoop up Derrick Henry. They're making more moves to bolster their offense ahead of the trade deadline. How about the Buffalo Bills? Oh, yeah, they just traded for Amari Cooper. Not too shabby. Now let's go to the NFC. 49ers are still really good, and they're only going to get healthier. How about the Minnesota Vikings, maybe the surprise of the NFC, making a move for an offensive lineman out of Jacksonville, beefing up that offensive line, trying to keep Sam Darnold on his feet and establish the running game with Aaron Jones. Yesterday, Dan Campbell at his press conference, the head coach of the Detroit Lions, was asked about a potential trade, maybe to replace the injured Aiden Hutchinson. This is not a figure of speech. This is literal. Dan Campbell started jumping up and down with excitement at the idea that the Detroit Lions would make an acquisition at the trade deadline. Literally jumping up and down at the podium. A grown-ass man showing his excitement by jumping up and down. And by the way, I know it's Detroit week. I respect Dan Campbell. I really like him. But that's a dude who played offensive lineman in the NFL, jumping up and down like a 7-year-old girl on Christmas morning with the idea that maybe they could beef up their defensive line in the next 6 days. Tuesday is the trade deadline in the NFL. What's the one thing Goody can do to solidify his Executive of the Year award, which I still think he has a really good case to win? Admit your mistakes. There's one area of this Packers team that desperately needs help. Maybe not desperately, but certainly does if they want to go through Detroit. They want to go through San Francisco. If they want to go through Kansas City, Baltimore, or Buffalo. It's a defensive line. This pass rush has been an abomination. Rashawn Gary, your edge rusher, who you paid millions and millions and millions of dollars to, has as many sacks as your slot corner. Keyshawn Nixon has as many sacks as Rashawn Gary 8 games into the season. They each have 2. Kenny Clark is still solid, but he's not as disruptive as he's been in years past. Lucas Van Ness in his second year has not taken a jump. I think he's been in the backfield of an offense like 7 times in 8 games. That's horrible. Preston Smith's getting older. Devontae Wyatt inside has been solid, but you need an upgrade. So if Goody can take the best parts about him over the course of the last 3 months, and that would be admitting his wrongdoings and admitting his mistakes, it's time to acknowledge, hey, this is a Super Bowl team. You have to increase the pass rush. You have to slow down the run from the opposing offense. Even if that's just a depth piece. In the next 6 days, I need to see Brian Gutekunst, the general manager of the Packers, go out and trade for a defensive lineman. Inside or out. I don't care. Just beef it up. Give me some depth. It doesn't need to be Myles Garrett or Max Crosby. As nice as a Trey Hendrickson from Cincinnati would be, it doesn't even need to be that type of a primetime player. Go flip a 6th-round pick for a depth piece on the edge. There's good rotational pieces in the NFL that I'm sure are available. So if Brian Gutekunst wants to solidify his trophy he can put on his mantle, I'm sure in a very nice house in the Green Bay area, Make a move at the trade deadline. Show some urgency. Just a year ago, the Packers, who were, I think, like 2-5 or 3-5 at the time, were sellers at the deadline. They traded Rasul Douglas to the Buffalo Bills. That cannot be the case this year. This year, your eyes are on the Lombardi. It's not, we'll see if we get in, and everything else, it's house money. It's all gravy. Nope, not the case this year. You are in a huge game on Sunday against the Detroit Lions, heading into your bye week. You win on Sunday, you are in sole possession of first place in the toughest division in football. What better thing to do ahead of Tuesday's trade deadline than show a little sense of urgency? Hey, we're really good. We just beat the Detroit Lions. Hey, we're 7-2 entering our bye week at midseason. We're a really good team. But we're just not quite good enough. You know what other teams have sent that message? The Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills, the Minnesota Vikings. And given Dan Campbell jumping up and down at his press conference earlier in the week, I get the sense that maybe the Detroit Lions are going to try to beef up their defensive line. I think the Packers should probably do the same. You with me or you against me? Let me know. 800-990-3776. That is the ESPN Milwaukee Talk and Text line. 800-990-ESPN. Your way into the Homer Hour. Would love to hear from you. Am I out of bounds here? Do the Packers really need to beef up their defensive line? I think so. What say you? 800-990-3776. That your way in to the Homer Hour. Alex drove in for the Emmy Award winner tonight. But coming up next, we go to Green Bay to get all the latest on all things green and gold. 7 starters missed practice today. Woof. Jason Wilde, 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, joins us next. It's the Homer Hour right here on ESPN Wisconsin.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
We do have backups on southbound 41. An earlier accident south of Appleton Avenue, still causing some issues on the left shoulder there, just south of Appleton. Backups all the way down to Capitol Drive anyway. We've also got this accident eastbound 94 through the Stadium interchange, still causing some headaches from 76th Street. Westbound's backed up from 16th to Mitchell Boulevard. Eastbound 94 also still seeing delays with just a heavier traffic from 164 all the way to Brookfield Road. And southbound 43, watch out for backups from Locust all the way down through the Marquette down to the KK River crossing. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, rain and storms, breezy, warm with the low of 64. Tomorrow, chance of showers, mainly early, windy with falling temperatures, a high of 67. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Every big pitch.
It's gone! Francisco Lindor!
Every big hit. Every big play.
It's gone! It's a grand slam! Thomas!
ESPN Milwaukee is your home for the hottest action on the diamond this baseball postseason.
It is out of here! There's the home run for Judge!
Tune in all postseason long on the way to the Fall Classic, right here on 94.5 ESPN and streaming on the Wisconsin On Demand app.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
What does the skeleton say before dinner? A bon appetit. And why did the ghost go to the bar? For the booze. Yeah, Halloween jokes can be corny. Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. Since 1960, we've provided the most spooktacular selection and savings in town. From skull-shaped vodka bottles and pumpkin cream liqueurs to adult trick-or-treat bags and your favorite seasonal wines and beers. We've got the spirits to get you in the spirit. Combine our selection with everyday low prices and 2 convenient locations, and Discount Liquor is the one trick-or-treat stop you can't skip. Discount Liquor, locally owned and family operated with 2 locations, in Milwaukee on 51st and Oklahoma, and in downtown Waukesha on Barstow and Maine. See all of our specials at discountliquorinc.com.
Discount Liquor.
This political season, you'll hear a lot of noise. But this November, Walker Media Agency has the expertise and team to improve your marketing, advertising, and IT. Start at WMA2024.com. Paid for by Matt Walker and Walker Media Agency.
Have you been patiently waiting and waiting some more for the right time to buy your first home? Hi, it's John Reeds from Great Midwest Bank, here to remind you that our experienced loan officers can answer questions and provide insight every step of the way. And we're happy to make purchasing a home a little easier by offering a closing cost credit for qualified first-time buyers. Be sure to ask about down payment assistance, too. Find a loan officer near you at greatmidwestbank.com. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
True Chicago-style pizza is thin, crispy, and cut into squares. And thanks to Connie's Frozen Pizza, you can enjoy a true slice of the city. You'll enjoy it so much you won't even mind where it comes from. Connie's Frozen Pizzas are made from the same cornmeal crust Connie's has been serving for over 60 years. They're perfectly cheesy, perfectly saucy, and they're exactly what you crave. Get to know the true Chicago style with Connie's Frozen Pizza. Born in Chicago, loved by cheeseheads. Available in a freezer aisle near you.
Stay up to date on the green and gold all season. The Green and Gold Fix podcast is brought to you by Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Luxury stay, elite play, unwind in sophisticated comfort. Win big, dine, and experience the events in Milwaukee. This is the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN. It's time for Jason Wilde on the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
A little early taste of what you'll get on the weekly Wilde program, one Wilde and I do each and every Thursday on the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube channel. If you haven't watched it yet, we go 40 minutes, all Packers all the time, except maybe not always all the time. Jason Wilde joins me now. Alex Strofe in for Homer here on the Homer Hour on ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Beaver Dam. Happy Wednesday, Jason. How are you?
I'm good. I'm making my way out of Lambeau Field, and very, very crowded here today. Lots of people in red hats headed over to the Resch Center.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going on tonight, isn't it? That's right. Okay. Well, did you see your old friend Brett Favre? I know he'll be up there.
I did not, no, but I didn't look for him either. So
all right, fair enough. Fair enough. Let's start with the injury report. No Love, no Jacobs, no Jenkins, no Rasheed Walker, no Josh Myers, no Evan Williams, no Jair Alexander at practice today. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, Jason, with John Anderson. I would imagine probably 5 of those 7 are good to go, and this might just be precautionary. What's your takeaway from those 7 guys, all starters, missing practice today?
Yeah, I mean, let's not oversimplify it, though, and just say what matters is that they're going to go, right? Because let's be honest, we look at the way the offensive line played, and we heard it from Matt LaFleur today. They didn't play that great in the last game, and maybe it's because everybody's banged up, right? And so I think that's a pretty big challenge, and I think that's a concern. Obviously, the quarterback is the number one concern, but even Josh Jacobs being on the injury report, I mean, this is a guy who obviously would carry the offense if Jordan Love's not able to go, and he said he's going to play, but it's still not ideal that he's dealing with that ankle.
Yeah, no, certainly not. And, the adage is, right, everybody at this time in the NFL season is all beat up and battered and bruised. But this feels like bad timing for the Packers, who obviously have the biggest game of their season coming up on Sunday at Lambeau against the Detroit Lions. They're not terribly beat up as far as I'm aware. So hopefully, all 7 of these guys can go and are to 100%. But certainly not the best timing for the injury report.
Yeah, I didn't look at it yet, but I think the Lions injury report looks pretty problematic too, though. So, and they obviously have lost their best defensive player in Aiden Hutchinson, so that's less than ideal for them as well.
No, that's a really good point by you. Jason Wilde with me here, Alex Strofe on the Homer Hour on ESPN Wisconsin, as I'm assuming is entering his car as I hear the beeping as he gets settled. Indeed. All right, good stuff. The offensive line thing, last thing on the injury report before we talk, we'll talk more Love here in a second. But the offensive line thing, all 3 of those guys finished the game against Jacksonville on Sunday, right? Rasheed Walker, Elton Jenkins, and Josh Myers?
They did. I mean, look, Myers has been dealing with a myriad of issues. Like, he got that stinger a couple weeks ago, kept playing, but now he's got a wrist injury on top of it. Elton's been dealing with a knee for weeks on end. I mean, it's a problematic point in the season. I mean, we've talked about this a million times, this idea that the bye week always comes at the right time, right? God, it's the right time for the bye, unless you have it in like week 3. then it's not the right time.
Right.
But more often than not, you feel like the bye comes at the right time, and in this case, you could probably use it a week earlier if we're being honest. So, again, we'll have to wait and see where they're at come Sunday. But I talked to Evan Williams. I didn't interview him. I was just talking with him, and I did not get a huge amount of encouragement from that conversation.
Interesting.
He didn't say he wasn't playing by any means, but he's definitely a guy that they are really counting on, and they really need to have him play because of everything he's come to mean in that secondary. So, again, we'll wait and see where they're at come Friday, but I think you're right. I think they'll mostly have those offensive linemen. I did see Jair Alexander in the locker room. He did not speak with us today. When he does speak, he usually does it on Friday, so we'll see if he has anything to say then. But I think there's reason to be apprehensive about some of these guys, either availability or effectiveness if they're able to play but are banged up. But at the same time, I don't want to make it sound like this game doesn't matter, because that's not what I'm saying. But obviously you want to win this game, and it puts you in a much better position if you do. But all is not lost if you have to play without Love, and Malik Willis isn't the miracle man that he's been in the other 2.5 games that he's played extensively. Like, it's okay, and the season, it could end up being the difference between the number one seed and not, from winning the division and having a home game or not. All those things are possible, but I don't think this is a make or break game for them, and because of that, I think that's one of the things that I think it's important to keep in mind, no matter how the injury report shakes out. Because I'll be honest, one of the questions I asked Love is, hey, man, look, you came back quickly from your knee injury, faster than projected. You played through this injury on Sunday. We all know you have the toughness and the pride and the commitment to your teammates to try and play through something. Do you have it in you to say, I can't go? Because we all know you want to go. And he said that he does. So I'll be curious to see if it comes down to that, if he has it in him to say, you know what, this is not the right call to make. I'm going to turn it over to Malik, and I'm going to trust that he can win this one for us. And with the bye week coming, that gives me plenty of time for this thing to heal up. I would also quickly add, I know I'm rambling, but when I rewatched the game, on the TV copy, you could see, they come back to it later, him heading to the sideline, and you see him going down to the ground. And we had somebody, John, in our YouTube comments this morning saying, they were telling him to do that. Well, I made sure I asked Love that, because I didn't see anybody telling him to do that. And he said the pain was so excruciating that he couldn't go anymore. He had to go to the turf then. So my point is, and again, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, that was then, he's getting treatment, et cetera. But my point is that if it was that painful in the moment, that's your starting point. That's where he's starting from with this injury. And obviously that's 3 days ago now. And so he's made progress, and he's gotten stim treatments and everything else. But the bottom line is this is not just some sort of rinky-dink injury. Like, when we see reporting about it being realistic that he could play and everything else, we tend to maybe downplay and think, oh, well, it's not that severe. But the two things that I'd be worried about is his movement in game and how effective he can be, and then causing this injury, a soft tissue injury, to end up being far worse, and then he misses extended time when you still got half the season left to go.
So I'm fascinated by the fact you keep highlighting, right? Like, even if they go, they're probably not 100%. You keep kind of referencing that. How different does this game play out if, say, let's just say Love plays. Let's operate under that hypothetical for the time being.
Sure.
If he's at 80% versus 95%, is that the difference between a win and a loss in your mind? Because I'm just fascinated you keep highlighting that point.
Well, I'm not just highlighting it with him. Like, all those offensive linemen, I agree with you. They're all going to play. Like, I'd be shocked if they didn't start their starting five like they normally do. But again, and Tausch will tell you this, and Bulaga will tell you this, and once you're out there, man, you're judged on how you play. No one's going to say, "Oh yeah, but he had a boo-boo." So if Rasheed Walker gets Jordan Love or Malik Willis sacked 3 times, no one's going to say, "Yeah, but he's playing through a knee injury."
Sure.
They're going to say he gave up 3 sacks. So I'm not saying we need to grade him on a curve. I'm just saying that, remember the threshold is not just are you able to play. It's also how effective can you be. And I have no idea how effective Love may or may not be if he plays. I have no idea what percentage he'll be at. But I do know this: if he does not play, and then they have a bye week, and then he has a full week where he could practice fully, could practice on a limited basis, whatever it is, heading into the game against the Bears on the 17th, I would say that his groin will be far healthier than it will be this coming Sunday if he plays against the Lions, and far healthier than it will be after the game against the Lions if he does play. So, to what degree is it worth the risk this week? And he'll make that determination, and the medical staff will make that determination.
It's a fascinating question, and one we're going to talk about all week, because I am confident in Malik Willis. Am I confident in him against the Detroit Lions? That's the question I'm really struggling to wrestle with, because Malik's been great for this team. He has been really, really good. He's essentially won them 3 games. They've won 6 total, right? When a guy attributes to half your wins, essentially, that's a really good mark. But against who I view as the best team in the NFL, and if not in the NFL, I won't debate it, in the NFC, I don't know how much I trust a Malik Willis offense versus a Jordan Love offense, because I think you need your best of best out there to beat a team like Detroit. I just think they're that good.
Well, not only that, they've scored 172 points in the last 4 games.
4 weeks.
So you're talking about a scenario where, your defense will obviously be challenged, and even if your defense plays well, I don't anticipate them shutting down that offense entirely. No matter what you think of, I know there's a lot of people that don't think Jared Goff is any good, but if you watch him, the guy sure makes all the plays that he needs to make, and he's surrounded by as much talent as Jordan Love is surrounded by, right? Great tight end, really good wide receivers, 2 really good running backs. So you're probably going to have to win, at least possibly, a shootout. And does Jordan Love at 75%? Or Malik Willis at 100% give you a better chance of winning that? I don't know the answer to that. All I know is that Matt LaFleur has to be aware as he goes into this game that more likely than not, they're going to have to put up a pretty big number offensively, even if he believes in Jeff Hafley and this defense. And we'll have to wait and see just how big of a number they're capable of putting up, and with whom they are able to put it up, whether it's with Love or with Willis.
It's a good point. Good point. A couple more things for Jason Wilde here on the Homer Hour on ESPN Wisconsin. I started the show talking about Goody and looking around the league, right? Ravens, Chiefs, Vikings. Dan Campbell's jumping up and down at the idea of making a move ahead of the trade deadline at his press conference earlier in the week. In order to stay with the pack rather than get left behind the pack of contenders in the NFL, do you think it's important for the Packers to make a move, whatever that be, ahead of Tuesday's trade deadline?
Here's the problem. Do you make a move to make your team better, or do you make a move that does the double whammy of making your team better and preventing another team that you're competing with in the NFC from making themselves better?
That's a good point.
And so the guy that and Tausch brought him up, so credit where it's due. but he makes the best sense of anyone, and that is Trey Hendrickson, who is the edge rusher for the Bengals, who appear to be going nowhere. Is he because we've heard repeatedly that Max Crosby is not being traded. Okay, so if Max Crosby's out of the equation, who are the other guys that could have Dan Campbell jumping up and down? I would think Hendrickson, who 2 years ago had 17.5 sacks, would fit that category. Now maybe Myles Garrett, whatever. I don't know what conversations they're having, but if you are Goody and your front four has not delivered pass rush pressure with any regularity, and we're making, we're getting chipped, and it's almost like 7-man protections. I love Jason Rebrovich, the defensive line coach. He basically said, look, we're not getting it done. There's some reasons for that, but, we got to be better, which I respect. But, if you're not getting it done with 4, what if you add somebody else to that mix of those 4, and it's a guy who's had as much success as Hendrickson has had, but not only do you get him, but you prevent the Lions from getting him to replace Aiden Hutchinson.
Great point.
So how much is that worth? Because look, I think that's the guy. I think that's the guy that Dan Campbell's jumping up and down about, because both he and the Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn had Hendrickson in New Orleans. So they are already familiar with him. So that would make sense that he'd be jumping up and down at the idea of getting him. So again, is that what's going to happen? I honestly don't know, but that there's the potential of helping your team and preventing your division rival from getting help but does that mean you're willing to overpay for him? These are all questions that Goody will have to weigh.
Yeah, it's a really good point by you, but I'm sorry. I caught myself. My imagination is really strange, as you know. I pictured you.
That's just your imagination that's strange.
Yeah, zing. Really good point. I'm picturing you, Jason, in your basement laboratory with like a magnifying glass. You've got pictures of Dan Campbell jumping up and down all over the desk. Like 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year investigates why Dan Campbell was jumping up and down on his press conference. Next on 60 Minutes. That's what I've got going on in my head.
Oh, that's quite an image. I'm not Inspector Gadget, but I will say that I think this game, whoever ends up playing, whoever they end up acquiring after it at the trade deadline or don't end up acquiring after it, I think this is a fascinating game, and you're excited to talk about it on Green Bay game day and watch it unfold and then see where things shake out afterward. But as Tausch loves to quote the songstress Natasha Bedingfield, a lot will still be unwritten even after this game. And I'm not only curious how this game will play out, but what plays out in the remaining 8 games that'll still be on the schedule for the Packers and the remaining 9 games that'll be on the schedule for the Lions.
Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. Jason Wilde, 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year. You hear him each and every weekday from 9 to noon. I'm Wilde and Tausch. Thanks, Jason.
A lot of lines from that song you could have gone with. Not sure I would have chosen those.
Well,
but
hold on. Well, time out. Which ones would you have chosen?
No, I'm not going to get. I don't want to.
See, you can't tell me I did something wrong if you don't have an answer to the problem. See, that's rude.
Of course I can. I can definitely do that.
Okay, leave.
Bye. I'm leaving.
I didn't even get to take care of me good. I piss him off? What happened there? Oh, my goodness. It's the Homer Hour. Alex Stroh hanging out with you on ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Beaver Dam. We'll talk about Willis or Love coming up next.
The Homer Hour is back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Still seeing some delays delays eastbound 94 from about 92nd Street all the way through the Stadium interchange, where there is an accident there. Delays stick around till about 35th Street. Westbound's heavy out of the Marquette all the way to about Mitchell Boulevard. Southbound on 43 backing up from just before North Avenue down past the Marquette and then on down to the KK River. Southbound on 41 also seeing delays from Silver Spring down past Capitol Drive. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, rain and storms, breezy, warm, a low of 64. Tomorrow, chance of showers, mainly early, windy with falling temperatures, a high of 67. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Cousins Subs is spicing things up this fall with a new sub and a delicious shake. The Chipotle Cheesesteak Sub with either grilled-to-order chicken or steak features pepper jack cheese, sautéed green peppers and onions, jalapenos, and Chipotle ranch dressing. And that's not all. Pair your Chipotle Cheesesteak with a new pumpkin pie shake and your taste buds will fall in love. Order in-store, online, or via the mobile app. Cousins Subs. We believe in better.
Remember when Hillary Clinton called you a deplorable?
You can put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. They're racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
Well, Tammy Baldwin agrees with her.
Donald Trump might be one of the most offensive and hateful and unacceptable presidential candidates we've ever had. So what does that say about the people who support him?
Tammy Baldwin is a liberal snob who spends more nights sleeping in New York City with her Wall Street executive girlfriend than she does in Wisconsin. Tammy Baldwin doesn't have Wisconsin values.
I'm Eric Hovde, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message. Join my team and give today.
Visit WisconsinVictoryJFC.com to give today. Paid for by Wisconsin Victory Committee.
They say seeing is believing, and when you see what's inside at American Place Casino, you better believe you're gonna love it. Because when it comes to amazing gaming, we're a real game changer. With the most exciting of table games like blackjack, craps, and roulette, the newest slots, a sports book, restaurants, bars, and more. So if you're ready for excitement, we'll see you soon. American Place Casino. Change the game.
Must be 21 years of age or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
There's a good chance you're on a budget. We all are. But she wants a diamond. You know it. I know it. And Robert Hack Diamonds knows it too, because they offer a huge collection of lab-grown diamonds, and they sell them at crazy prices. How about 2-carat total weight diamond studs for $8.95? Robert Hack Diamonds can get any size, shape, or clarity in natural or lab-grown diamonds. Don't buy until you call Robert Hack Diamonds. $8.95 for a 2-carat pair of diamond studs. Oh, baby! Robert Hack Diamonds in Greenfield and in Brookfield. Why overspend when you can save at Robert Hack Diamonds for the same diamond you're looking for? Some jewelers are charging nearly $5,000 for a lab-grown diamond. Not Robert Hack. Your visit will be worth it, and she'll think so too. Robert Hack also offers repair services and cash for your old gold. But remember, before you do anything, as I did, RobertHackDiamonds.com, and visit them in Brookfield or in Greenfield.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
But I'm thinking it's time for a change.
Wednesday night edition of the Homer Hour. Alex Stroop hanging out with you right here on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee, 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. People got thoughts, man. People got thoughts. I'm saying, look, the Packers need to make a move. They gotta. You're a championship contending team. Make a move. Poll is in the field on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at the Homer Hour. Do the Packers need to beef up their defensive line at the NFL trade deadline before Tuesday? 61% right now. With me, they say yes, but 39% say no. We'd love to hear from you. 800-990-3776. I think we're playing a lot of mental gymnastics this week as Packers fans, and rightfully so. Willis Love. We're juggling quarterbacks. And they've both been pretty good for the Packers at 6-2. Love, it hasn't certainly been the second half version of himself from a year ago, but he's still been good, right? Second in the league in touchdowns, leads the league in interceptions, but winning games. The only losses on the year, week 1, a.k.a. preseason game number 4 to the Philadelphia Eagles in Brazil. And, of course, his return game from the knee injury suffered in that game in Brazil against the Minnesota Vikings, where the Vikings went up 28-0 and ended up only winning by 2 points in a game where the Packers kicker missed 2 field goals, which are worth 6 points if you do the math. Regardless, Packers 6-2. Love's been good, right? Don't let the interceptions and some of the risk-taking he's done more this year than he did a year ago blind you by the fact that he's been a good quarterback. Malik Willis, on the other hand, has been just about perfect. And what I mean by that is not from statistics, despite him having the best QBR in the league. It is in terms of expectations. Come into a quarterback-friendly offense, minimize mistakes. He's made none. He hasn't turned the ball over at all in his 2.5 games played. Dink and dunk, run the football, long drives, own time of possession, put your team in a position to win the game. He's done that. I just don't know if I trust him enough to do that against Detroit. Detroit is really damn good. And while they're beatable, and while no NFL team is perfect or going to go undefeated unless maybe the Kansas City Chiefs do, they're beatable. But are they beatable with Malik Willis under center? I lean no, but I could be proven wrong. I'm still a Packers fan. I still believe in Malik Willis. I just believe in Jordan Love more, and that's okay. But if it's a 70% version of Love versus a fully healthy Malik Willis, that's where the mental gymnastics come in. And self-admittedly, I'm no good at math. I stink at it. So I don't know how to do the math of would I rather have a 100% Malik Willis or a 70% Jordan Love, but the Packers can still beat the Detroit Lions. At the end of the day, no matter who is under center, you have to dominate time of possession. Maybe not dominate, but you have to win time of possession. And you have to win the turnover battle. You're not beating Detroit if you don't. In a game last week, and Wilde just said it when he joined us a minute ago, I think it's 174 points in the last 4 weeks. The Lions have scored 40 or more points each of the last, or 3 of the last 4 weeks, and have scored at least 31 points each of the last 4 weeks. They beat the Vikings a couple weeks ago, 31-29. If you're not giving them the football, they won't score that many points. So is Malik Willis capable of beating the Lions? Maybe. Is Jordan Love? At 100% he is. At 90%? I still think he is. 80%? Yeah, but it's getting a little dicey. 70%? I don't know. But I'm no math major. I'm just here to talk. And coming up next, I'm here to talk with Tim Van Vooren, who will join us next right here on the Homer Hour.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
It's thin versus thick. It's square versus rectangle. It's tavern style versus Detroit style. Get ready for the green and gold game against Detroit, Palermo style. Tune in to 94.5 ESPN Friday, November 1st for KVM live from Palermo's Pizza headquarters. Kyle, Brad, and myself will be talking pigskin and pizza, 2 of my favorite topics. It's all about the huge Green Bay and Detroit game coming up on Sunday, but also about the new Detroit-style Palermo's Pizza. It's 94.5 ESPN's Kyle Brusson-Ortman live from Palermo's Pizza on November 1st.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
What does the skeleton say before dinner? A bon appetit. And why did the ghost go to the bar? For the booze. Yeah, Halloween jokes can be corny. Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. Since 1960, we've provided the most spooktacular selection and savings in town. From skull-shaped vodka bottles and pumpkin cream liqueurs to adult trick-or-treat bags and your favorite seasonal wines and beers. We've got the spirits to get you in the spirit. Combine our selection with everyday low prices and 2 convenient locations, and Discount Liquor is the one trick-or-treat stop you can't skip. Discount Liquor, locally owned and family operated with 2 locations, in Milwaukee on 51st in Oklahoma, and in downtown Waukesha on Barstow in Maine. See all of our specials at discountliquorinc.com.
Discount Liquor.
Are you looking for a reliable ride? I've got you covered. It's ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta. I use AccuTrans Group for my private transportation needs during the college football season. AccuTrans is a veteran-owned business dedicated to providing unmatched corporate, personal, and event-related transportation that you will use again and again. From corporate travel and weddings to group events, AccuTrans Group caters to every occasion. Booking is easy, safe, and dependable. Visit AccuTransGroup.com to get a quote or to book a reservation today for reliable and safe transportation.
Hey, it's Gary Ellison here for Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center. Looking for that midday escape? Or maybe you want to impress a client? Get a little slice of summer on the links with Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center, a top-tech, cutting-edge golf experience that gives you the chance to play legendary courses. Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center's simulators, entertainment, and best Bloody Marys make it feel like summer all year round. With bays at just $35 an hour, Mondays through Thursdays. That summer feel is easily back in your life. Book your bay at WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com.
Hey Milwaukee sports fans, it's Brad Nortman from Kyle Bruston Nortman. You've invested too much into that nice ride, so don't settle for a gas station car wash. Treat it to a Tsunami Express car wash. State-of-the-art wash technology, powerful free vacuums, and unlimited wash memberships. Now with 5 locations across Greater Milwaukee, Tsunami Express is your go-to spot for a flawless finish and a first-class car wash every time. Trust me, your car will thank you. Sign up for a membership online at TsunamiExpress.com and get your first wash free. Tsunami Express Car Wash. Wash, chill, repeat.
It's time for the Ortho ASAP Minute from Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin.
I'm joined by Dr. Rick Papandrea. What's the process when deciding if someone needs surgery or not?
The surgeons here are just that. We are surgeons, but all orthopedic surgeons evaluate a patient and attempt to get them better without surgery. And then we have other non-surgeons here as well. Everybody is coordinated to get people better. And if we can do that without surgery, great. It's typically the best way to get somebody better. But there are just certain injuries that won't get better on their own. They fail to get better without surgery, or they're clearly such that they need surgery.
Does someone's personal interest and feelings play into medical decisions?
We have to look at the patient and decide what's best for them. It's always good to ask the doctor, what would you do? But I always turn that back around and say, well, I'm not you. Let's look at what you need, because some patients may have the exact same sort of needs that I have, but what I need or what I think will work isn't always the best thing for the patient given their specifics.
The Ortho ASAP Minute is sponsored by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Rain Man is brought to you by Cousin Subs. Skip the line and order online with a Cousin Subs mobile app and join the Cousins Club. Cousin Subs, they believe in better. Welcome back to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN. The 3 most important letters in sports. Even better than those.
TVV.
It's Fox 6 Sports Director Tim Van Vooren on the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Looking forward to this one for a few different reasons. Alex Strofe in for Homer. Joining me now, Fox 6 Sports Director, the great TVV, Tim Van Vooren, joins me now. Tim, I've been looking forward to this conversation all day. We'll talk Packers, but I really need to know TVV's opinion on the Yankees fans that pulled on Mookie Betts' arm last night in Game 4 of the World Series. What a bunch of dorks, dweebs, and idiots out there in New York at Yankee Stadium last night. I need TVV's opinion on this.
I'm clearly in the same camp. I don't know that I'd use the same words, Alex, but I'm clearly in the same camp. I mean, I find it outrageous that occurred. Things occur. It'll be interesting to see what transpires from it. Will they be allowed back to a game? Will they be banned for life? Any of that stuff. If they're, put up on a pedestal in New York, or as this series goes forward, or if the Yankees were to rally and win and then be held up as like folk heroes or something, that would be more troubling than anything as far as I'm concerned.
So dweeb, dork, and idiot is too far?
We'd all have our own words. Yours are safe for over the air. I was not a fan of the behavior. I'll certainly say that.
Okay, I would like to keep you safe for the air, so let's end it there. But an entertaining series nonetheless. Game 5 tonight, which you can hear right here on ESPN Milwaukee. Let's go to the Packers. Jordan Love. It's a conundrum, right? I mean, Malik Willis has played so well. If you only have 75% Jordan Love, I don't really know who I want to start on Sunday in a huge one against the Detroit Lions. What do you make of the quarterback conundrum with the Jordan Love groin injury?
Well, and I think you have to factor in the following week being the bye also.
Right,
Alex.
good point.
So, you get 2 weeks of Jordan Love rest if you don't start him and if you believe in Willis and if you think you have a chance to win the game otherwise. I don't think you get overly cute with, we can sit him, and this isn't the NBA, this isn't Major League Baseball. This game could matter, a win or loss could matter when all is said and done. But if Love is not really able to protect himself and, to play a more thorough game plan than he was able to execute once he got hurt the other day, then I think you have to consider Willis for sure. I talked to both quarterbacks today in Green Bay, and Love does want to play. I brought up the idea of the bye week and 2 weeks of rest. Players don't look at that, but an organization might, a head coach might.
Yeah, that's I totally agree with you. I'm fascinated to see the decision they end up making. Obviously, it depends on Love's health first and foremost, but with the bye, that could be 20 days to rest and gear up for the second half of the season, where Jordan Love was an absolute superstar a year ago. So I'm intrigued to see what way that goes. Do you give the Packers a chance? I view the Lions as one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL, and they're a little bruised and battered prior to the bye week. You think they can still beat up on the Lions at Lambeau?
I like the Lions in this one. I'm not going to lie, Alex, no matter who quarterbacks for the Packers. Yeah. Here's the one thing that I would say, and this might be a minority view, but the Lions, I do think, are playing like the best team in football. I've seen more of them than the Chiefs, for instance, but I think they're absolutely operating on all cylinders. But we've seen this before. Sometimes teams do this in October and November, and I'm not saying the Lions are going to sputter, but you sure didn't think the Eagles were going to fall off the cliff. You sure didn't think the Ravens a couple of years ago. To me, the Packers haven't really played terribly well to this point. They played well in the second half against the Vikings. They, had their moments against the Titans. They overwhelmed a bad team there. They, did enough against the Jaguars, but they I guess the Texans game. I'm not a huge believer in you've got to play your best football in October and November. And last year the Packers were hot at the end. So even if they lose this game, I don't think that means the balance has necessarily shifted in the division. I think the Lions, losing Aiden Hutchinson, that's going to be a tough thing to overcome as the season goes along, unless they acquire somebody to take that spot or get some of those snaps.
Making Packers fans feel better by every word. It's Tim Van Vooren, Fox 6 Sports Director, with me here on the Homer Hour for a few more minutes. Trade deadline's coming Tuesday, so let's look into your crystal ball. I know you have one, TVV. Next time we talk to you on the Homer Hour will be next Wednesday. Will the Packers make a move before the deadline?
So, to be honest with you, I think that they are content with the talent on their team. And I think they have some guys that we haven't even really talked about yet, to be honest with you. I think that they have some younger players defensively who've seen limited snaps to this point, who they think can step up and play larger roles as the season goes along. I do not think they've made a move. What do you think, Alex?
I think they should, and that was going to be my next question for you, right? When you look around the league, Baltimore, Kansas City, Buffalo, Minnesota, likely Detroit, the way Dan Campbell was jumping up and down at the idea of making a trade at his press conference the other day. All these contenders, or what we think as of October 30th are contenders, are making moves to upgrade. It's not really in the Packers' DNA to do that, but this is a team with championship expectations. I think they probably should, but I'm with you. I think they probably won't.
Obviously we shall see, and you're right, there's more activity now in the NFL than there used to be in terms of impact trades. So, maybe it'll happen. Maybe it's just the shifting sands. But my guess is this is the Packer roster we've seen and will see.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But isn't that fascinating, the evolution of the league, Tim? I feel like there was never big trades at the deadline even, 8-9 years ago. And it feels like now, the last few years, these big time, whether it's pass rushers or wide receivers, are getting moved at the deadline. It's interesting to me how that's evolved.
I absolutely agree with you, Alex. And I think that part of it is just the shorter span that GMs have and head coaches have. I think the idea now is, if I can get some positive impact for a sixth-round draft choice, I'll do that, because I might not be around when that sixth-round draft choice materializes into a good player or doesn't. So I think that's part of it. It used to be get the GM and then, he hires the coach. Nowadays, sometimes it's hire the coach and the GM comes as a package deal, or the GM's almost secondary. So there's been a lot of change in the NFL in general. And the immediate impact is more important than building for the future, as far as I see it now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Tim Van Vooren with me for a few more minutes. I think we're going to hit the triple. Let's go to a third sport. The Milwaukee Bucks season underway, TVV. 1-3 start. Is it time to hit the panic button?
I don't think it's time to hit the panic button, but
might be in transit, TVV, breaking up with Tim Van Vooren. We'll work on reconnecting with him here momentarily. He said it wasn't time to hit the panic button, which is good for you diehard Bucks fans. I don't think it is either, but I figured I would ask him real quick. Just given, a 1-3 start for a team, once again, with championship expectations, it's certainly not something you'd like to see. And then, by the way, that would be 3 losses in a row. It's not like they've lost 3 of 4. They have lost 3 in a row, playing the Grizzlies tomorrow. A little Halloween action for the Bucks coming up tomorrow. So we will let Tim Van Vooren continue his answer as he rejoins us now on the Homer Hour. Not time to hit the panic button yet, but go ahead, TVV.
Pick up my thought there, Alex. I apologize. The Bucks don't have Chris Middleton, but they really have the rest of the guys that they're going to try to win with. So to play this way out of the box, I think, is eyebrow-raising. I was at the home opener. That should be an emotional, upbeat type of energy night, but I really didn't think it was from the team. I thought the crowd was into it, and I don't know where that comes from. So, I think we're all to the point in Milwaukee now where games in November, games in October, that's not the big deal. It's what are you going to be doing in April, May, June? And I'm not sure the Bucks will be doing anything in April, May, June if this is what they're going to play like so far.
No doubt. And the rumor mill was swirling just a few weeks ago as, it seems like it happens every offseason, but Homer said it best, right? This feels like the first time it might be real. If this team doesn't reach expectations, Giannis could get traded. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I believe it because it could happen. I just don't know what other opportunities the Bucks are going to have to change their roster much going forward. If this doesn't work, they're pretty well hamstrung with veterans and big contracts and a lot of flexibility. Now, I wouldn't think the first thing you try to do off that is trade Giannis Antetokounmpo at all. He's only 29 years old. He's one of the most genuine individuals you're going to ever find, much less athletes. And he still cares, obviously, cares deeply, and is still extremely talented. So I would not lightly move off of Giannis Antetokounmpo. But is it impossible that the Bucks could do that? No, because what is ownership going to say? What's the immediate future surrounding Giannis with a bunch of 17-year-olds is not going to accomplish anything for anybody if that's what it would come to in a couple of years.
3 sports, 2 different phone calls. Tim Van Vooren is well-versed. Appreciate the time as always, my man.
Alex, you too. Have a great run.
You as well, my friend. Tim Van Vooren, Fox 6 Sports director, here with us on the Homer Hour. I'm impressed by how well-versed he is. We talked 10 minutes. We covered a little baseball, we covered a little football, covered a little basketball. My closing statement, the Packers need to make a move before Tuesday. They need to keep pace. Don't get left behind. This is a damn good team. And if Love, even if he doesn't play this week, and he's going to come back fully healthy after 20 days of rest, to go to Chicago and continue the ownership that was passed off to him by Aaron Rodgers on his way out the door. Got to make a move. I was thinking a lot about that today. It's probably sad how much that spends time in my mind, but here we are nonetheless. Coming up next on ESPN Milwaukee, we go out to the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Weekly Wager, Jen Latta, Ben Brust, Greg Matzik have you until 7 o'clock, telling you ways how you can make money this upcoming weekend. The Weekly Wager coming up next on ESPN Milwaukee. See ya!
We're still dealing with some delays along eastbound 94. That backup, all because of an accident right in the stadium interchange.